This aircraft carrier was named after the 38th President of the United States, Gerald R. Ford, and it is known as one of the largest aircraft carriers in the world, with a total length of 1,092 feet and a beam of 134 feet at the waterline. The Ford-class aircraft carrier is the first in its class and incorporates 23 new technologies, including significant advances in propulsion, power generation, ordnance handling, and aircraft launch systems. The USS Gerald R. Ford generates an increased aircraft launch and recovery capability with a 20% smaller crew than Nimitz-class aircraft carriers. Despite its high cost, which was around $13.3 billion to build, the USS Gerald R. Ford is seen as a valuable asset for the United States Navy, providing long years of service and showcasing the latest in advanced military engineering. So how did this aircraft carrier become the largest and most sophisticated aircraft carrier today? So, it's a very long story, and it all started when the U.S. Navy signed a $5.1 billion contract with Northrop Grumman Shipbuilding in Newport News, Virginia, to design and construct the carrier on September 10, 2008. But the beginning of construction began on August 11, 2005, when Northrop Grumman held a ceremonial steel cut for a 15-ton plate that forms part of a sideshell unit of the carrier. The keel of Gerald R. Ford was laid down on November 13, 2009. She was christened on November 9, 2013, by Ford's daughter Susan Ford Bales, with a bottle of American sparkling wine.
I christen the United States ship Gerald R. Ford. May God bless the ship and all who sail her.
Gerald R. Ford entered the fleet, replacing the decommissioned USS Enterprise, CVN-65, which ended her 51 years of active service in December 2012. Originally scheduled for delivery in 2015, Gerald R. Ford was delivered to the Navy on May 31, 2017, and formally commissioned by President Donald Trump on July 22, 2017. Her first deployment departed on October 4, 2022. As of 2024, she is the world's largest aircraft carrier and the largest warship ever constructed. So indeed, this Gerald R. Ford was intended to be the first of a class of aircraft carriers that offered significant performance improvements over the previous Nimitz class. Gerald R. Ford is equipped with an AN/SPY-3 and AN/SPY-4 active electronically scanned array multifunction multiband radar and the ship's self-defense system, Mk2 baseline 10 of the Mod 6 variant command and control system. An island that is shorter in length and 20 feet taller than that of the Nimitz class is set 140 feet farther aft and 3 feet closer to the edge of the ship. Replacing traditional steam catapults, the electromagnetic aircraft launch system, EMALS, will launch all non-VTOL carrier aircraft. This innovation eliminates the traditional requirement to generate and store steam, freeing up a considerable area below the deck. With the EMALS, Gerald R. Ford can accomplish 25% more aircraft launches per day than the Nimitz class, which requires 25% fewer crew members. The Navy estimates it will save $4 billion in operating costs over a 50-year lifespan. According to an Associated Press story, she is truly a technological marvel, Chief of Naval Operations Admiral Jonathan Greenert said in a webcast ceremony at the Newport News. She will carry unmanned aircraft, joint strike fighters, and she will deploy lasers. These performance enhancements were problematic in Pentagon tests, and final software fixes for some of the problems were delayed until after the ship's post-shakedown availability in 2019. With capabilities that have been upgraded like that, this doesn't necessarily run smoothly. In January 2014, the annual Director Operational Test and Evaluation Report recorded that critical ship systems in lab and test environments, including the EMALS, advanced arresting gear, dual-band radar, and weapons elevators, were not reliable enough and needed more testing and improvements. The Navy implemented a rigorous testing program to ensure performance issues would be resolved before the systems were installed on the aircraft carrier. Major problems with the main turbine generators were found in June 2016. The fix, requiring design changes, was installed and verified during acceptance trials in May 2017. In 2018, the Navy requested to delay shock trials for at least 6 years to speed up the ship's deployment, but this request was denied. On June 18, 2021, Gerald R. Ford completed her first full-ship shock trial, 87 nautical miles off Ponce Inlet, Florida, to ensure that she was able to withstand battle conditions. 40,000 pounds or 18 tons of TNT was detonated underwater, measured as a 3.9 magnitude earthquake by the USGS. Additional tests were conducted in July and August, with the test detonations set off closer to the hull. The ship was determined to have passed the tests, and this concluded the trials. Gerald R. Ford left Naval Station Norfolk for Task Force Exercise (TFX) on October 4, 2022. The carrier was to conduct operations and training exercises alongside NATO allies and partners throughout the Atlantic Ocean. Gerald R. Ford's Carrier Strike Group 12 included Carrier Air Wing 8, USS Normandy, Destroyer Squadron 2 with USS Ramage, USS McFall, and USS Thomas Hudner, auxiliaries USNS Joshua Humphreys and USNS Robert E. Peary, and the United States Coast Guard cutter USCGC Hamilton. Among the first NATO ships assigned to CSG-12 was the German frigate Hessen. Gerald R. Ford's first port visit outside of her home country was on October 28, 2022 to Halifax Harbour in Nova Scotia, home of CFB Halifax, Canada's largest military installation and home port of the Royal Canadian Navy's Atlantic Fleet. On November 14, 2022, the ship arrived in United Kingdom waters for a 4-day visit. Anchored in Stokes Bay near Gosport, she returned to Norfolk on November 26, 2022. On May 3, 2023, Gerald R. Ford departed Naval Station Norfolk on her first full-length deployment and is scheduled to be operating in the 2nd and 6th Fleet's area of responsibility. On May 24, 2023, the ship arrived just outside Oslo, Norway for NATO exercises, hosting a visit from Norway's Crown Prince Haakon. She is scheduled to head towards the Arctic later for further drills. On June 26, 2023, the ship sailed to the Mediterranean and arrived in Split, Croatia for crew rest. In early October 2023, Gerald R. Ford conducted naval exercises with the Italian Navy in the Ionian Sea. On October 8, 2023, the day after the Hamas attack on Israel, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, directed the Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group to the Eastern Mediterranean to bolster regional deterrence efforts. Along with the carrier, the group includes the cruiser Normandy and the destroyers Ramage, Kearney, Roosevelt, and Thomas Hudner. The U.S. later also sent the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower-led CSG-2 to the Mediterranean to supplement CSG-12 on the same mission. While the carrier remained in the Mediterranean, several of the escort ships were sent into the Red Sea, where they repeatedly intercepted missiles and drones fired from Yemen. The U.S. 6th Fleet announced on January 1, 2024 that the Gerald R. Ford CSG would return to Norfolk after being relieved by an amphibious ready group consisting of USS Bataan, USS Mesa Verde, and USS Carter Hall. On January 17, 2024, Gerald R. Ford returned to Norfolk after an 8-month deployment. The carrier spent a total of 239 days away from Norfolk, conducted 43 underway replenishments, logged more than 10,396 sorties, and sailed more than 83,476 nautical miles.